Hello, welcome to Autocar, testing cars every week since 1895. Now this is the latest generation Toyota Prius, and when Toyota first took the wraps off it, they said that buyers in the UK, you don't need one. You're only buying 600 a year of the ones we're selling at the moment. You're all buying Toyota Corolla estates instead, so we're not going to introduce it to the UK. UK buyers said yes, but finally, this is a Prius we don't just need, it's a car we actually want because of the way it looks and maybe because of the way it drives. Well, let's find out.
The Prius was a hybrid pretending not to be weird when it first arrived in 1997, and it's fair to say it got millions of drivers used to electrification. But while the latest model looks far more sleek than earlier Priuses, it still rocks one of the cleverest hybrid systems around. This time in the UK, it's available as a plug-in hybrid only, has a 2-litre petrol engine, a drive motor too, more on which later, and a 13.6 kilowatt-hour battery that'll give it an electric-only range of over 50 miles, which in our testing is entirely gettable. In our comprehensive road test, which you can find at themagazineshop.com, the Prius returned an average of 71 miles to the gallon in our hands. There are two versions in the UK. Pricing starts at around £38,000, with this top spec car coming in at around £41,000.
So welcome to the inside of the Prius. Really good driving position actually. I get proper controls for the heating and ventilation system. Quite a lot else is on the touchscreen, but then there's also a big plethora of buttons on this. So quite attractive and very round, which I like. The steering wheel. It's quite small, which gives the car quite a sort of dynamic kind of feel, because the windscreen has a very, very shallow angle on it as well. Toyota does call this car a coupe, even though it's got, it's a 5-door with reasonable accommodation in the back and a boot. Actually, it's not a huge boot. It's weird that the Corolla estate has kind of become, you still do see a lot of Prius private hire vehicles, don't you? But the Corolla estate has kind of become that sort of car for the taxi driver, and the CHR has kind of become the electrified Toyota for the part-electrified Toyota for the private buyer, which then leaves this kind of gap that the Prius has come back into. It's been on sale for a few months now. I don't see loads of them, I must say. I don't see loads of them. I think it quite suited Toyota GB that people have migrated towards the Corolla estate because that is built in Britain. And it also quite suited them that private buyers had migrated towards a crossover / SUV because you can charge more for it. But between the two, there is probably now this gap to be filled by the Prius for those who don't necessarily want the crossover and who do want a very efficient, very attractive, possibly quite good to drive car. I've got to say, so far, it is comfortable. The ride is smooth, the steering is also smooth, and this drivetrain is really quiet. Like really quiet. Is the engine on? Yes, and you can hear it, but most of the time in sort of steady throttle driving, you wouldn't know either way whether it's turned on, ticking over or not.
So let's talk that hybrid powertrain and what is slightly misleadingly called an eCVT, CVT for continuously variable transmission. Now, if you're old school, you'll know that CVT has pulleys and cones. They generate a lot of heat and waste a lot of energy. Originally called Toyota Hybrid System and later Hybrid Synergy Drive, the idea behind Toyota's latest system is largely the same as it was in the 1990s, and it doesn't have any pulleys or cones. There is an engine. Here it makes 150 horsepower. Then there are two electric motor generators. The big one can drive the car on its own. It has 161 brake horsepower. But there is another motor generator too, much smaller, which can start the engine or charge the battery. But all three are connected to a planetary gear set. And the really clever bit is that this system, which has no clutches, can allow the engine and the big drive motor to spin at whatever speed they like, with the second smaller motor making up the difference regardless of the road speed. It's really hard to explain and much easier to understand when you see it working on video. Thus, the Prius can drive on pure combustion, pure electric, or any combination in between. It's also incredibly reliable. There was a time when Toyota was the most reliable brand in the world, the Prius Toyota's most reliable car, and the transmission the most reliable part of the most reliable car from the most reliable manufacturer. It is a marvel. What's it like to drive?
And when you accelerate, you do get that noise. Cool, Supra. That's a Toyota. That's a special Toyota. You do get that noise, that constant roar of the engine, and that is why people, I think, erroneously refer to this drivetrain as a CVT, because it makes a noise like a continuously variable transmission, and to an extent it is continuously variable, but it's not a CVT, as I've explained, in the conventional sense of things. It's more responsive than that, it's better than that, and because the engine and the motor combine, it's more immediately responsive than that. You don't just have to wait in the engine's zone, you get immediate response as well from the electric motor. So this is quite a brisk car. It's like 7-ish seconds, just under actually, to 60 miles an hour. So it's a responsive, brisk car. It's also a low car. It's got a low centre of gravity. It's only like 1400 mil tall, which is, in a world where there are crossovers and SUVs everywhere, really welcome actually to drive a car which feels low to the ground, doesn't have a big frontal area, rides as compliantly as this does, and yet also responds really nicely to steering inputs. It's not although they call it a coupe, it's not a sporty driving experience, but it is a pleasurable one. It is actually it's not as incisive as, say, a Ford Focus was. This car's 4.6 metres long, which puts it between the old sort of C and D, so between sort of Golf and Passat sizes, or Focus and Mondeo as was. The best car of that size to drive for our money has always been the Focus. This is not as good as that in terms of fun, but it is incisive. It does steer accurately and keenly and really smoothly. It's not fun. Does that make sense? Is it a riot? Is it a Focus ST? No, it's not. Of course it's not. But does it have as much going on as a regular everyday Golf? Yeah, probably. And there are cars from many new manufacturers that do not have the level of finesse, I think, about their ride and handling as the Prius does, which leaves it where I think it's not the cheapest car around, but it is still well equipped, really efficient, feels well screwed together. I mean, they tend to score really well in customer satisfaction and reliability surveys. It ticks an awful lot of boxes, and now, those are the boxes that it has always ticked. Now it also ticks a style one and a dynamic one too. So that's the Prius. Good car. Thank you ever so much for joining me. We are here weekly over on the YouTube. We've got reviews, news, twin tests, group tests, all manner of things. You can also find us at autocar.co.uk anytime, day or night. See you next time.